Willpower is an amazing thing. You can bring the desires of your heart to fruition simply by exerting the force of your will into the universe. But your willpower also can be abusive and harassment. And what do I mean? Exerting your will on others can be abusive and harassing. And I figured in my own theory, the best way to stop this is to be cold-hearted from the jump for people who aren't related to you or you have a personal relationship with. Because you may be harming people without even knowing it. But how? Let's talk about it.
Yo, what's up, Jit? Like, what you been on? Like,
25, you know. Rappers come here,
ain't no woody woo, you know what I'm saying?
Winter, fall, spring, summer, and north. You got a choice, stay in the house or you can hop off the porch. My mom was only 15, lucky she ain't aboard. I'm from the south side of North, but still show love to the north. Talking 280, the number blocks, pin it in court.
Instagram, Twitter, hell, Facebook, and even YouTube is an interesting place for discourse and sharing of ideas. I notice a lot on celebrity posts, news, the Shade Room, World Star Hip Hop, whatever it may be, that sometimes somebody makes a statement, whether it be on a cultural norm that we see, one of our favorite artists, like just recently in the news, Trick Daddy said Beyonce is not that great of a singer. And usually, when it comes to people that we have an affinity for, people that we like, or a topic that hits home close to us, you may hear often when somebody makes a statement randomly, speaking to no one, saying, why does it matter to you? Mind your business. And mind your business is commonly heard when you offend someone on a topic, like again, that they have a personal attachment. Now, or even maybe a behavior that they engage in or they exhibit. Like SHACARRI Richardson getting suspended for marijuana use from the Olympics. Now, sometimes people do make constructive criticism. And constructive criticism sometimes can really be misconstrued as harassing or overbearing or abusive. Honest, constructive criticism may not be welcome. So how do you combat this? Well, I have a few theories, but I wanted to deep dive into the different types of abuse and how your willpower may be abusing someone else. Constructive criticism is a helpful way of giving feedback that provides specific, actionable suggestions rather than providing general advice. Constructive criticism gives specific recommendations on how to make a positive improvement. Constructive criticism is clear and to the point and easy to put into action. Now, not everything that we read on Instagram, Twitter, or the like is actual constructive criticism. Sometimes people are being just pure jerks, being a straight asshole. But sometimes constructive criticism is necessary, because without it, we can fall into a society of chaos where everyone believes that they're doing the right thing because no one wants to challenge them or check them on their perceived wrong behavior. Again, behavior to a certain extent, whether it be the way that you choose to dress, the way that you cut your hair color, the length that you keep your nails, type of boxes you buy. All that, again, subjective. But when we come to the concrete things like robbery, killing, and other things of that nature where you just know inherently that it's wrong and you have qualms about doing it, then I believe constructive criticism can be necessary. But again, your constructive criticism and your own willpower can be abusive and harassing. Now, various types of abuse that constructive criticism can be misconstrued into is coercive control, verbal abuse, and emotional abuse. Let's take a look. So to start off with the first initial form of abuse that I brought up, verbal, which being commenting negatively about a person's clothing, body, or personal behavior. Asking someone to go out with you, unwelcome sexual advances, and sexual favors. In my opinion, I can see how this can be abused for someone who wants to use it for nefarious terms. But follow me in this line of thinking, if you will, though, on how verbal harassment is actually applicable to people who say negative things about the way that somebody appears. If verbal harassment is negatively commenting on a person's clothing, body, or personal behavior, even if somebody is out there living like a complete trash bucket and a big can of poop, living like a wild savage dog in the alleys, you commenting on that, and depending on the person's mental state, can be technically verbal harassment. If they wear the same shirt every day and their shoes are busted and they got creases in them, they may be going through something. You might be trying to say constructive criticism, but again, your constructive criticism can be deemed as verbal harassment. Now, as far as asking someone to go out with you, well, you may find this far-fetched. This is not actually a concept that I came up with just out the blue on my own. But going back again to Easy Llama, if you will, and looking at the harassment guidelines. So here now on Easy Llama, Compliance Made Easy website, when I referenced asking someone to go out with you, there have been, over the past couple of years, videos and PSAs made about women being approached in the street
to act the right way.
Bro, not cool.
and different forms of catcalling and street harassment. Whereas now, though, asking someone to go out with you is not necessarily fully in line with the topic that I'm speaking on. But I did notice that, and it did bring to mind other situations that I've noticed coming up in the past couple of weeks and months, where even some women were getting online talking about men were not approaching them when they're going out in the club.
And, you know, I see TikToks on here all the time that talk about, like, you know, pretty girls and how they're never approached. And it's true. Like, I was just out at a bar. Black men were there. None of them talked to my friends and I. All pretty girls, black girls, none. And it's like, people say, like, finding someone to have sex with you, to take you out to eat, to compliment you is not hard. I can go on these apps clearly and find someone that's ready to have sex with me tonight, right now, without even knowing my last name. Literally does not know if I've just got rid of an STD yesterday, but is definitely willing to have sex with me right now. But finding someone that, like, is willing to check on me when I say I'm having a bad day, that's too much. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, I'm just myself. I don't know what else to do.
Well, also, men don't approach you in LA.
100% no.
So,
absolutely not. Especially when you're
exactly.
pretty too. They're like, no.
Yeah, and being plus size is like a whole nother
Yes.
thing.
Oh my God, girl.
So
I know
that's
it.
why I feel like I only meet men like on jobs or online.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would go out with my friends quite often, and the entire time I've lived in LA, I've had definitely less than 10 men approach me. Definitely less than 10.
Wow.
How long have you lived in LA?
8 years.
Wow. I was thinking you're like a couple years.
No, like come up to me on the street in
Yeah.
person. Like, guys,
But
I
see.
Now, Easy Llama, Compliance Made Easy, this website, as we see, we're looking here, they're more focused on the workplace environment, but we are aware though that relationships sometimes do foster in a workplace environment. And how many workplace romances and fake work wives and work husbands that we see people have in a work setting, I still understand it to be somewhat of an issue, even though from all intents and purposes, you should not, or people would tell you shouldn't be dating your co-workers, that can foster an unprofessional work environment. But nonetheless, to say, there will be some references though to what I was speaking on, where women were saying they weren't getting approached in this video, edited in. But I found it somewhat amusing that in this current time and climate that we live in, that this asking someone, not in the sense where you're harassing someone, pestering someone, but merely asking someone out. Again, mind you, yes, this is for a workplace environment, but some people took this to a literal sense and brought it to the real world. And usually they reserve that for people that they find unattractive, or people they don't deem worthy of their time, approaching them, calling it harassment. So ergo, but nonetheless, stepping away from that topic on verbal, I take a look at the emotional aspect. Now, what we say here for emotional abuse, it can involve any of the following. Again, forms of verbal abuse: yelling at you, insulting you, or swearing at you. Rejection, constantly rejecting your thoughts, ideas, and opinions. Gaslighting, making you doubt your own feelings and thoughts, even your sanity by manipulating the truth. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse. A person or a group makes someone question their sanity, perception of reality, or memories. People experience gaslighting often feel confused, anxious, or unable to trust themselves. And how does coercion or coercive control fit into this theory? By a few definitions found on the web. Now, speaking on coercive control, people try to control others or situations. They may do so out of anxiety because they worry if they do not maintain control, things will go wrong. Others adopt controlling behaviors to assert dominance, and this is a form of abuse by definition. So, in my theory, the abusive nature of coercive control, bullying by insults, which included attacks on someone's sexuality, ideas, or opinions if they are against yours, needing to be right, and emotionally manipulating others, and emotionally manipulating conversation by over talking and interrupting a person while they speak are all applicable, which are not physical but are similar to spiritual abuse and using your will over someone else's life. So when people say in a debate or argument, do whatever makes you happy, my theory, it is imposing to assume that a person wishes to be happy. This same said individual may be perfectly fine being upset, and the power of your will you have on their emotional state is intrusive. Those people who come from a spiritual place believe that you can speak things into existence, and understand where I'm going with this analogy. If I believe I can achieve happiness and then I act in accordance to achieve happiness in my relationships or finances, I have just used the influence of my willpower to manifest destiny. Some people have a spirit of quit in their life, and they don't want to try because it's uncomfortable in their spirit to exert such will. So therefore, I won't tell you people to not tell people what to do. I'm telling you, if we disagree and you are not someone I care for example, my mother, my father, daughter, brother, big sister, cousins, aunts, and uncles, my outlook on your feelings and choices is, I don't care. I really don't. I don't care what you do. I'm not going to harass or abuse you with well wishes. I don't have that concern for what happens in your life, your finances, or your feelings. It would be intruding. So I'm not going to entertain a back and forth argument or debate either. Saying have a good day would be a stretch for me too. You might want to have a miserable day. You are completely hands off concerning me. Y'all do what y'all want is almost pushing it in my eyes, because I'm sure some of you don't want to do either. Have a good night. Like, up, subscribe, hit the follow, hit the bell if you are so inclined, so you get the next notification. Help the channel grow, man. This is all fun for me. This is just an exchange of thoughts, like you see in my headline title. We don't change up, man. We stay the same, and it's always been like this from day one. We'll figure this thing out, baby. Appreciate you.
That boy is good.